Hi everyone. Today in Exodus, we're introduced to Moses. Most of us are probably familiar with the start of his story, where his mother hides him in the river in a basket because of Pharaoh's threats, and he ends up being found by Pharaoh's daughter, who takes him in as her own. And so our story picks up later on when he's an adult. One day, after Moses had grown up, he went out among his people and saw their forced labor. He saw an Egyptian being a Hebrew, one of his own people. He looked around to make sure no one else was there, and he killed the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. When Moses went out the next day, he saw two Hebrew men fighting with each other. Moses said to the one who started the fight, "Why are you abusing your fellow Hebrew?" He replied, "Who made you ruler and judge over us? You planning to kill me like you killed the Egyptian?" Then Moses was afraid and thought, "What I did must have become known." When Pharaoh heard about it, he tried to kill Moses. But Moses ran away from Pharaoh and settled in Midian. So right here we meet Moses, who's going to liberate God's people. And the start of the story seems like it might be going in that direction. It's a little bit cathartic, right? Moses is getting justice against this evil slave master by killing him. And I think it's important for us to see the difference between justice and vengeance, or think about what justice really means when we're talking about God's ideals, right? God is a God of justice. We see that throughout Scripture. But very often we mix up the two, and getting revenge is seen as justice, right? At least we need an eye for an eye, if not more. But that's something that Jesus tells us is not the way of God. You see that here, right, that Moses' violent insurrection immediately fails. It doesn't go anywhere. And even when he tries a peaceful mediation between his own people, his past willingness to use force takes away his credibility. And so he has to hide in the wilderness until he's ready for God to use him. We see something here that violent revolution, the problem with it is just not revolutionary enough. Right? It changes the rulers, maybe, but it doesn't change the rules. It doesn't change the systems. Any sort of oppression built on violence, if you use violence to overcome it, you're just going to repeat the cycle. We see it throughout history. That's why Jesus refused to do that. Right? So many of his disciples wanted him to do that exact same thing, and he wouldn't, because he knew that wouldn't bring the change that God actually wanted for us. Jesus shows us a better way. And it's true that we should identify with the oppressed. Moses does that. That's what leads him to act. But instead of turning to violence like Moses did, we choose compassion, like Pharaoh's daughter. Right? She also had no reason to care about this baby. Her own father was the one who wanted them dead. And yet when she hears baby Moses cry, she goes. Her heart is open, and she brings life. She preserves his life. And that move changes everything. So what do we think changes the world today? Violence or compassion? I know that it seems like one way is easier. It seems like the way of compassion and nonviolence is naive. But if we really believe in Jesus, then we have to believe in his way. That's what's going to change the world. Blessings on you all.